Folks, tomorrow is the day that we've all been waiting for. And I got to tell you what, I had an opportunity of going to the NFL draft this year with my company, Roundtable Sports. And I decided, I was like, you know what? I think that we are just going to give the opportunity to a couple of other guys within the company. And damn, do I regret it. I regret it, man. I was talking to my buddy Richie, and he actually ended up meeting Cam Ward. Met Cam Ward. He sent me a picture last night, him just sitting right next to Cam Ward. He's allegedly staying at the exact same hotel as all of the prospects. And damn, hindsight's 2020. But I will tell you what, I think that I did make the right decision of sitting around at the home office so I could uncover the draft with all of my friends here in the live chat. And there's zero question about it. I will be live for the entirety of the NFL draft all weekend long. That is the first night live game reaction, excuse me, live draft reaction, second evening, and then I'll likely even do all of day 3. I'm going to be live for the entirety of it. So say, for example, that you would like to join, make sure when you subscribe to this channel, you turn on bell notifications, because I'm sure Bob's going to be getting a couple of smacks across the dome. I'm sure that we are going to be seeing tears of joy, the whole 9. Man, I am looking forward to today's episode. That's for damn sure, because I finally saw a rumor that makes sense to me. Like, we have been discussing what Brandon Beane is going to do within the NFL draft, right? I think that we have all agreed that him staying at 30 is the least likely scenario. He's only ever done it twice in his tenure as the GM of the Buffalo Bills, right? Moving down is also a possibility. We have now done that 2 years in a row, and we have also ended up moving up. So this rumor really got the gears turning. According to a reporter out of Yahoo Sports, based off of what he has been hearing from officials all across the league, is that if the Buffalo Bills, and listen to this real fast, it's not about a defensive tackle, it's not about any other position. If the Bills see one of the top cornerbacks in this upcoming draft slide seemingly to 21, where the Pittsburgh Steelers are, they have every intention of doing whatever they can to get there. The name noted was Jahdae Barron, right? But then I also believe that Will Johnson would be a part of this conversation as well. We have spoken about these prospects ad nauseum on this channel, and I tried to taper my expectations for these two guys because, number one, I never thought that it was possible that, number one, they would fall to us, and or number two, that Brandon Beane would be willing to trade up that high, even to get in the territory of where they would ultimately end up falling. Now, it's interesting because it just goes to show you, and granted, this is all rumors. This is based off of murmurings across the NFL, and this could very well be a diversion from Brandon Beane. He could be pulling a trick out of his sleeve right now, being like, hell yeah, I'm going to let the rest of the NFL think that I'm desperately trying to move up for a cornerback. Maybe that's going to cause a panic move and just see corners fall off of the board, which puts Kenneth Grant right into our lap at 24, or dare I say 30. So there's certainly a lot to unpack, but both of those prospects, man, if you were talking the cream of the crop in the secondary, for two different reasons, I would say. Number one, like Will Johnson, he was largely touted as the number one corner to go off of the board, obviously outside of Travis Hunter, although that we're hearing that Cleveland is going to make him major in offense and minor in defense, so he's probably going to be more of a wide receiver. But rest be assured, prior to the combine, Will Johnson was bar none, hands down, the number one corner prospect in the draft. Then you saw Jahdae Barron's combine performance, and then there's a lot of speculation that he's going to be the first corner to go after Travis Hunter. But I'll tell you what, dude, that would be, for me, a trade up that I would not lose any sleep over. Those two prospects. So a couple of weeks ago, I put out an episode where I suggested, right, what are players that I would be okay with the Buffalo Bills trading up for? And ironically enough, both of those players were listed on said board. Will Johnson would fit into McDermott's scheme like an absolute glove, right? He played predominantly zone in college. He has so the size factor. He wins by length, great vision, very good at confusing QBs. Imagine what Sean McDermott could do with a prospect like that. And then Jahdae Barron, I mean, come on, dude. Guy is so versatile, right? Like he can play as your slot corner. He can play outside, opposite of Benford. Like he would be like a new CB1 for us, essentially. As high as I am on Benford, as high as I am continuing to say that he is going to have even a better year since he ended up getting the bag and since he ended up getting the contract, both of those players would be absolutely insane. So I'm curious because based off of these murmurs, it sounds like the Buffalo Bills' absolute ceiling of trading up would be at 21. So if we're watching tomorrow night together and we see one of those two names getting at about 19 to 21, do not be surprised if Brandon Beane is on the phone right then and there trying to figure out whether or not that he would be able to fall. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to pull up the PFF mock draft simulator, and I do not believe that we will see Barron and or Will Johnson fall to 21 because the simulator regularly has them like going in so the top 10 and then also about mid-teens. But just for an experiment, I'm curious to see what a reasonable amount of draft compensation it would cost for Buffalo to actually be able to trade up in that scenario. And we're just going to run this little experiment to see how much we could think. I got to tell you, going all the way up to 21, likely going to cost one of our second rounders. But say, for example, that we were able to walk away with a CB2 like that, for sure. Talk to me all damn day. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this draft going. Let's see what it would cost. We're going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21 and Buffalo. So we essentially would want 21. We would give them 30. And then Buffalo has recently been able to trade up a couple of spots in history by swapping a 4th round pick, right? Surprisingly enough, we see 21, we see a pick swap at 30, and then we also ended up giving them a 4th rounder, and then that gives us about a 50% chance of it being accepted. And that's largely been some of the success that we have seen from Buffalo in its history of moving up in the drafts in the Brandon Beane era. Very oftentimes, when we've moved up 2 or 3 selections, it's been a pick swap, and it has also been so a 4th round pick. So maybe we won't even necessarily need to knock out with that. Like, say, for example, that Buffalo wanted to say, hey, you know what? Like, we're also going to give you a 2026 4th round. And man, I wanted that 3rd round pick. These fools don't have it either. But this is largely what it would probably cost. Some sort of draft compensation, a pick swap in the 1st, a 4th rounder, and then also some compensation for the following year. So there's a world where we could move up to 21 and also still have both of our 2nd round picks and perhaps even be able to finesse a 3rd, say, for example, at its Pittsburgh. But now I'm curious to see where they have Will Johnson and Jahdae Barron actually falling in this draft class. We will see. Not concerned about Will Johnson's knee. So I'll say the same thing about Will Johnson that I have said about so Siobhan Ravel. Youth is certainly on their side when it comes into potential recovery. And last year in Buffalo's secondary, we ultimately ended up having Rasul Douglas, who had a very down year. And somehow we still ended up leading the league in turnover differential. So I would be okay with rolling the dice on Will and then also a Siobhan Rebel. Say, for example, we were to do that in the 2nd round and let Trey White just take care of the CB2 role as they end up ramping up in the recovery process and then also end up sort of having their impromptu training camp. A player like that, I would just have to trust our training staff to catch him up to speed. And it's not even like Sean McDermott likes to be able to roll out rookies immediately anyway. Even if we do walk away with both of those guys or one of those dudes, I think Trey White is probably still going to be named the starting CB2 for at least 4 to 5 weeks out of the season because McDermott really likes to be able to help them out here. But I'm curious to see where these guys were going. We ultimately ended up seeing, let me see. We had of where all of these corners are ultimately ended up dropping. You have Will Campbell dropped to 10, which is absolutely insane. You had Will Johnson drop to 17. So it sounds like Will Johnson could potentially drop. And then I'm trying to see where Jahdae Barron ended up going. Where did our boy Jahdae go? Banks, yeah, Jahdae Barron going over to the Miami Dolphins at 13. So I think these corners have been trending down. As Jesse comes in and says 30 and 56 for 21 and 83 is roughly the same value on the trade value chart. 30 and 56 for 21 and 83 is roughly the exact same value. Man, what's Brandon Beane going to do, folks? What is Brandon Beane going to do? Well, folks, if you are just tuning in, this is the point of the episode on the Don Mafia Report where I transition exclusively over to the live chat, right? For the first 10 to 15 minutes of each episode, I do discuss the topic at hand, and then I see what my good friends in the live chat have to say. Since the draft is right around the corner, so I know that there's quite a bit that we want to get off of our chests. Do me a favor so it's easy for me to decipher between questions and statements. If you have a question, please begin each and every single one of your entries with a Q dash. So that way, so the people that are watching the replay of this episode and or listening on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts, it is just a much more favorable listening experience for the homies. So go on ahead, load up your questions, load up your statements. We have quite a bit to discuss today. The draft, oh my God, is tomorrow, folks. The draft is tomorrow. I do need to give a giant shout out to today's sponsor that just so happens to be William Mattar Law Offices, folks. William Mattar Law Offices. If you were ever hurt in a car, you better call William Mattar. #1 car accident attorney in the state of New York. I would never wish a car accident on any of you, but unfortunately, it is a grim reality in this world. Some people can't drive for shit. All right. So say, for example, you were ever on the receiving end of a car accident and you find yourself injured. You have to have the right representation and never look further or don't look further than our good friend William Mattar over on the screen right damn now. We have Square has come in and has suggested, Dan, what players would you be willing to trade up for? We need impact talent on defense. So I really have 4 players that I would be willing to trade up for. And I'd probably have to agree based off of this rumor that the absolute ceiling that I would like to go up to would be 21. I feel like any higher than that, I think we're missing out on opportunities in the second round. And I also want to find a way to get into the third. I really, really do. But there is only 4 players specifically that I would like to trade up for. To 21, so I would be willing to trade up for a Jahdae Barron, a Will Johnson, and an Emanwari out of South Carolina. Those 3 DBs would be a dream for me. I would not be upset if we traded up that high for one of those players. Like, they are just that good. I think they would fit in McDermott's defense like a glove. Completely fine. And then next up, I would be okay with trading up for Kenneth Grant, but I think the highest I would trade up for Kenneth Grant would be 24 with the Minnesota Vikings. I feel like that's the absolute highest that I would go to welcome that defensive tackle on this roster. As many of you know, I'm a big Kenneth Grant guy, and so I think that he has all of the answers that we need on the defensive line. It's a domino effect of production for me. But say that we traded up for a Jahdae Barron, then I'm completely fine with leveraging some of our second-round picks to slightly trade up and grab Tyleik Williams and or Darius Alexander in the early second round. I think both of those players could be fine, or I'd be fine with even waiting a bit later and grabbing Alfred Collins out of Texas. I think that he would also be a solid addition right to this line and would solve a lot of the issues that we do have. But yeah, 4 players in general that I'm fine with trading up for. They are, as listed, a Barron, a Will Johnson. Same thing with Emanwari. And then Kenneth Grant are the only 4 players that I would feel comfortable for the Buffalo Bills to walk away with draft capital to trade up for. That's my list, baby. That is my list. We have Darren has come in, talk to me. He says, statement. And the most common and favorable scenario is to trade down with the Raiders, 2nd, 38th, and 3rd, 68th, and trade the 56th and 68th for the Bears' 41st, and then trade down at the 62nd to get into the 3rd. That's a lot of moving chess pieces, but I'll tell you what, I would not put that against Beane at all. What is Buffalo going to do? We get answers tomorrow, folks. And guys, throw a 1 in the chat if you plan on joining me during my live reaction. In fact, you know what I might be doing as well? I might be welcoming on some of my friends from Roundtable Sports to watch it with me for a couple of rounds here and there. Because you know what? As much as I love talking to my live chat friends, I feel like you guys need to see some of the banter between 2 football personalities, at least for, 15 to 20 minutes at a time, really spice it up here and there. So again, guys, I am going to be live for the entire draft next week. Well, excuse me, tomorrow. So make sure that you turn on bell notifications so you do not miss this live stream. I'm feeling pretty damn good. Dan, what is the report? Derek Cunningham, what's up, man? How you doing? The report is that there's a lot of rumors around the league that if Jahdae Barron and or Will Johnson just so happens to fall to 21, then the Buffalo Bills would be very interested in trading up. Very interested in trading up. So that tells us a couple of things. It tells us that although many of us want a defensive tackle first, it sounds like the number 1 priority for Brandon Beane and the Buffalo Bills just so happens to be a corner, CB2. Let's act like we're not surprised, folks. We know that this team loves some damn people right there. Okay, we have Bill's Chick has come in. It's been a while. It's good to be back. I need to get myself up to speed. Who do you think we should give up on defense or go after on defense? I'm assuming Bill's Chick. So I have a lot of favorite players, right? But like realistically, what I'm looking for is just scheme fits for this team. I want obviously a day 1 contributor, but I want somebody that doesn't need to learn our system from scratch. I don't want to draft somebody that we need to teach or put a learning curve on. So as far as defensive tackles, as long as it's a true nose tackle / 1-tech defensive tackle, like a Kenneth Grant, it's like a Tyleek Williams, like a Darius Alexander, like an Omar Norman Lott, who I really, really like. I also like an Alexander and Alfred Collins as well. As far as corners, I want somebody that excels in zone coverage. Like that's ideal. So a Barron, a Will Johnson, a Siobhan Ravel. So an Azarie Thomas would be fine as well. Wide receivers specifically, really want an outside speedster, somebody who has a huge resume of being on the outside. And I hate being married to the concept of a 40-yard dash, but unfortunately, I feel like we all end up going there eventually. I need a guy with at least 4.4 speed, that can create vertical separation. That's precisely what I'm looking for here. Keith Lewis has come on in and he says, I really believe Trey White is going to be our CB2. So now I am a big fan of drafting Ravel and waiting for him to get healthy. Keith, you and I are on the exact same page. CB2 for the Buffalo Bills, if you really think about it, has never really been a star-studded position. Like, I'm sitting back and I'm thinking about it. Like, we have always had, like, our cream of the crop type guy, right? But then, like, really, oftentimes we'd have Dane Jackson out on the opposite, right? And then a Rasul Douglas, right? And then now Trey White is going to be CB2, ironically enough. I feel like Trey White is going to be fine for 5 to 6 games. And that's a solid insurance policy for me where we can roll the dice and take a shot at a Siobhan Ravel because he's obviously still recovering from his ACL tear. He'll probably be placed on the PUP list at the beginning of the season. He'll probably have to have an impromptu or a small little training camp period from week 5 to week 7. And then hopefully by midway through the season, when football actually matters, he'll be able to be that impact player. He's a future move for me, right? Like he's a future move for me. But we'll see. Stay at 30 and let one of the safeties fall to you. That helps the corners on the back end. It's funny because I have been seeing Malachi Starks plummet down draft boards. Dude has been plummeting down draft boards as well. I'd be fine with Malachi Starks at 30. Say, for example, he stays there. Like he would be, that is an insurance policy for any question marks you perhaps have on your DBs on the outside as well, which is great, right? I don't know. What the hell is Brandon Beane thinking? And there is only one safety in the first round, and that is Starks. I'd probably put the Emanwari there too. It's heavily debated. And so I'm more of an Emanwari guy, but then again, I just love athletic freaks. And maybe it's not justified. I don't know. But listen, there is not like much of a difference between the two. Say that you think Starks is better, or say that you think that Emanwari is better. I wouldn't be pissed at you, but like it's not a very big gap. If, of course, you were to ask me. DTN has said, Dan, will there be a live stream on the AFC's roundtable tonight, even though TD and Richie are in Green Bay? That is TBD, to be completely honest with you. I do know that they have quite a busy evening. So I know that they have a bunch of media events to go to. So say, for example, that we're down a Jets and Dolphins guy, we'll probably just cancel it. But that is still TBD. It is still TBD of whether or not we are planning on doing an episode. But rest be assured, we'll be back next week to react to the draft in general. All right, we have Dexy Gaming has come in statement. Dan, I have been looking into Isaac Tesla out of Arkansas, 6'4", speedy receiver who can block and can still improve a lot. He could be a 5th-round gem. Yeah, man, for sure. It's funny because yesterday when we saw these press conferences yesterday, like we saw Josh Allen wearing the Everybody Eats hat. And he says, this is still our offense's identity. As much as we want like some of the big names, or I'd say the 3rd-round names, right? Like a Jalen Royals. Oh my God, that would be great. Or a Kyle Williams. Based off of our strategy on offense, the everybody eats mentality, I can see the first wide receiver we take being in the 5th. As unsexy as it is, I'm just trying to like mentally prepare myself that could largely be it. That or a Thornton from Tennessee, but I'm still holding on to hope that we grab a Jalen Royals and or Kyle Williams. I would be happy. No, he is not. Spin 048. Starks is a free safety, and Emanwari is a strong safety. With the Emanwari, he actually does have some coverage chops. He's fine. He's more of a true safety. Starks is ass. Sigma does not like Starks. Hey, Dan, you could either have Kenneth Grant or Walter Nolan. Who do you take and why? I am taking Kenneth Grant. Not because I have any disrespect toward Walter Nolan, but Walter Nolan is a 3-tech defensive tackle. And that's wildly redundant, right? Because we have Ed Oliver. Same thing with Dwayne Carter. Like, those are our 3 techs on the roster by itself. And we only have one tech that I trust on this roster. That's Daquan Jones. And he's on an expiring contract. So I'm going to have to go Kenneth Grant with this. We need a free safety. We already have 3 strong safeties. Thoughts on Ty Ward? What would be the latest you'd be okay with to draft a defensive line? Great question. Great question, my friend. Latest? All right. Say, for example, that Grant is gone, that Tyleek Williams is gone, that Darius Alexander is gone, and Alfred Collins is gone, then I'm going to be pissed. If one of those four is not taken off, then yeah, we've waited far too late. We've waited far too late when it comes into it. It's just kind of how it is, unfortunately, right? We got Big Daddy D. What's going on with Bond? Is he off the board? Right now, he has had some issues. He's had some issues, right? He's currently having some legal problems. So I think that he's more than likely going to fall to about the 5th or the 6th. So say, for example, that Buffalo wants to go on ahead and roll the dice. Sure, but he'll certainly be there. He'll certainly be there at the 5th. Hey, Dan, when are you going to get Bob's mock draft? Bob's mock draft? Oh, man, he don't know shit about ball. Bob does not know shit about ball, my friend. He's probably going to get a couple of smacks tomorrow night, I would assume, during my live game reaction. We have Dexy Gaming. Dan, if we don't get Watts and Makuba or Bowman, I don't want safety this class. And Andrew Makuba, please, Beane. I prefer Billy Bowman, to be completely honest with you. I'm telling you all now, I have a feeling that Ravel is going to be something big. If it plays out the way I think it will and we draft and develop him, our cornerback room will be sick for years. So the thing is, Beth, I'm not even necessarily convinced that there would be a massive learning curve period for him. Yes, he's coming off of a torn ACL. But whatever he does, he jumps off of the tape, right? He jumps off of the tape. He's such a good corner. He wins with his length. He's solid in zone. He's speedy as well. Of course, seeing that he recovers appropriately. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I would be thrilled if Ravel is a Buffalo Bill and just ride out with our good friend Trey White, if at all necessary. Let me see. Draft whoever Kansas City or the Eagles are going to draft. Problem solved. Drew is coming. Dan, you need Bob merch. Bob merch. All right. Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about some Bob merch. Don't worry about that. Dan, how could you feel if we take the Emanwari in the first? So I'd be happy with him or Starks. And so I'd be happy with him and Starks. He's a dude, man. He is definitely a dude. We have Pepe is coming. Hey, Dan. Okay, hey, Dan. How many whacks is Bob going to get? And so if the Bills trade with the Chiefs in round 1, he's going to be decapitated. And so if that happens, not because that the action would piss me off, but just because I know that I would need to avoid X for about 5 or 6 days for people just blindly bitching for what would seemingly be like forever. Spuddy Mudd is coming. Would you rather use a draft pick for a wide receiver or trade a team for a pick and get a B-list wide receiver? Would you rather use a draft pick for a wide receiver or trade a team for a pick to get a B-list wide receiver? So I'd probably draft a wide receiver myself. I'm good on sending over picks for an existing player at this point. I've heard a couple of people try and manifest a J-Mo Williams from Detroit or something like that, but I'd rather not bring on a player that is due a significant contract the following season. I kind of want to bring somebody in immediately that could just be that dude for us. Ray Nonstop. Hey, Dan, if the Bills decide to trade down into the second round draft, would you be upset? No. So I think context matters. Like, say, for example, that like we decided to trade down, but Kenneth Grant is still available, like to select. Yeah, I'd probably be a little upset about it. But say, for example, that all of the players that I would consider to have a first round grade are gone. No, it just depends on the context of the situation for me, right? If Emanwari is still there at 30, say, for example, and we decide to trade down, then yeah, I'd be pissed. Or say that Kenneth Grant is still on the board and we decide to trade down, yeah, I'd probably be pissed. But say that every single like player that would be considered or widely renowned as a first round talent, and then we traded down, for sure. But then again, I would still be patient and see what we could finesse right within the second round, right? Because say that we could walk away with 3 second round picks, I'm feeling pretty good about that. All right, we have Casanova 69 is coming in. Dan, and do you see the Bills selecting Farmer, a defensive tackle from FSU, as a rotational for the D-line? He has met with the Buffalo Bills before. He's kind of a name that I would be okay if Buffalo double dipped at the defensive tackle position, and he is the second defensive tackle taken off of the board. That's kind of where we would be at for me, right? As far as realistic defensive tackle selections for us, so the names that really stand out to me for me feeling okay for our first selection at the position would be Kenneth Grant, would be Tyleek Williams. I'd be fine with Alfred Collins. I would be fine with Darius Alexander. I'd be okay with Omar Norman Lott too. But then I feel like once you start getting into the Deion Walkers of the world, or you start getting into the Farmers of the world, then yeah, I would much rather them be the second defensive tackle taken. Then that's it. We need a Bob shirt where there is a think bubble over Bob's head, and in the bubble shows Bob headbutting Dan. Yeah, dude. Listen, man. We can put some Bob merch out there. We'll talk about it. Do yourself a favor. You like physical traits. Look up Za Frazier, corner out of the University of Texas, San Antonio. He is better tackling Tyreek Woolen. Oh, some Za Frazier. It's funny enough, Jesse, because I have seen several mock drafts where the Buffalo Bills double dipped at corner, and Za Frazier is quite regularly the 6th round selection. I'm about it, man. Listen, do not sleep on some of these late round talents, right? And so, as my good friend Bruce Exclusive says, do not be a helmet scout, folks. Do not ignore a player because the college he played for is not some team that you would specifically put as a quality football program. There are a lot of very good players in schools that have made movement in the NFL. Darren has come in with a question, and he says, what is your ideal start to the draft that would give the Bills the best case scenario all around? So this is probably unpopular, but this is what I would like, right? I low-key want to trade down. Grab an additional 2nd round, and also acquire a 3rd with that movement. And then I want to package 56 and 62 or one of them so that we could move up in the 2nd round as well and then grab a quality player. Like, say, for example, our draft board looked like this and we don't have a 1st round selection, right? As much as I want Kenneth Grant, right? Like, I want Kenneth Grant on this team. But say that it's not the case. Like, what's the best for the most bang for your buck for Buffalo, in my opinion? Trade down from 30, okay? And then acquire a 3rd, 2nd round pick, draft a Tyleek Williams, right? Or draft a Maxwell Hairston, or draft a Siobhan Ravel, whatever. Then take 56 and a 4th to trade up a couple of spots right in the 2nd. Then grab a corner, then grab a defensive tackle, which is right in line of what we're looking for. 3rd, 2nd round pick, you grab a Jalen Royals, or you grab an Xavier Watts, for example, as well. That would be perfect for me, right? Say that we walked away with a Siobhan Revel, a Tyleek Williams, and an Xavier Watts with 3 2nd round picks, say, for example. And then we end up going into the 3rd and walking out with either a Kyle Williams and or a Jalen Royals. Like, you're going to see me streaking down the streets of Florida of how excited I am. That's probably best case scenario for me. Slightly trading down, having 3 2nd round picks, and being able to slightly move up in the 2nd to make it happen. It's deeper than that, Dan. His offense is from Buffalo. Jason. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Steve Mills has come in. D-Dog, yo ho ho. Wow, it's been a while since I've started the stream off with yo ho ho, right? So we need a defensive tackle, but whoever we get, even in the later rounds, will be their best version of themselves. Far ahead of most teams in the league in culture, talent, and QB. I want Grant. Me too, Steve. Me too, man. It's my dream pick right there in the first round. It just depends on where he's going. Darren Eakins says exactly what I am thinking. So I think if no cornerbacks are drafted after Jahdae Barron and Will Johnson trade down, we will get the best big three in the next round. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And to be honest with you, although that there's going to be some very upset people who are sitting there watching the draft all night, waiting for Brandon Beane to trade up, only for the third year in a row for us just to say, or the second year in a row, rather, all for us just to trade down into the second once again. So are you going live for the entirety of round one? And will you be for day 2 or 3 at all? I will be live for the entire first round, Ryan, and I will be live for the entire second round as well. Third round, I'm still debating. Maybe I might just go on ahead and just do like a bunch of TikToks and stuff like that, like when the third round is happening. It just depends. It's typically not as exciting for day 3 as far as views are concerned. And quite frankly, I really don't like blame people, but yeah, we'll see. But day 1 and day 2, make sure y'all have bell notifications turned on so you are reminded that we'll be discussing some things. Hey, Dan, what current Bills player is being slept on this year? So I think Cole Bishop is definitely going to have a second-year jump. And so I think Keon Coleman is also going to have a significant improvement from last year. And Curtis Samuel, too. Curtis Samuel is going to have a hell of a season next year, too. It's a hot take, but bear with me. Soul Train, how would you feel if the Bills traded and got Jalen Walker to be a linebacker / situational pass rusher? I feel like it would be redundant, and so I feel like we would probably have to have him set up on the edge and just be a true defensive end if that were to be the case. Say that we just wanted them as a linebacker, I probably would pass on it because, number one, we only really ever have 2 linebackers out on the field at any given moment. And I know that Matt Milano is injury prone, but we still have Dorian Williams. And it's tough to run 4-3, especially since we don't want to take away Taron Johnson off of the field, right? Because he's one of our best defensive players. Why take him off of the field by running 4-3? So say that we went with Jalen Walker. So I would assume that he would probably just be transitioned over to an exclusive, so an edge guy. And I'm not even particularly sure whether or not that he would be successful right in a 4-3 system, right? Like he's probably a hell of a lot more effective and just due to his size off of a 3-4 edge rather than a 4-3 edge, if you were to ask me. Jonas is coming in saying, who is the one guy picked in the first round that makes all the Cheesehead fans up at the draft say, what the hell? Who is the one guy picked in the first round that makes all the Cheesehead fans up at the draft and say, what the hell? So for the Packers, I don't know. So the Bills' perspective, so I have been seeing this one rumor that we might go linebacker right in the first round. I probably wouldn't be too happy about that, to be honest with you, but that's it. It's my perfect draft first 3 picks. Pick 30, Amos. Revel, pick 56. Double dipping at corner. Collins or Tyleek Williams or Joshua Farmer at pick 64. Watts or Royals or Kyle Williams. Spin, that's my guy. Spin nose ball, man. Trey White is going to be elite again. CB and takeaway. Trey is going to eat. Oh, man, listen, I love the manifestation that this chat always has. And our Utah boys are about to ball out. Let's go, DK and Cole. Go, Utes. Damn. I like that, man. Mikey is coming saying, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bills get a tight end given their injury history at the position. Hot take. I would hate to trade up, and it gives us no leverage to get a third-round pick. Darren, we just better make sure we hit if that is the case. Hey, Dan, whatever happens in the draft, at least you don't have TD's problems in Miami. That's true, Pepe. That is absolutely true. Jonas is saying no in general, and the one surprise pick in the first round. My God. And so are you guys winning the Super Bowl this year or what? I hope so. A couple of brickheads. For the love of God, I hope so, man. If not this year, then when? I hope so, man. I hope so. Soul Train has come in and said, I saw a mock draft giving the Bills safety Malachi Starks. How much would he improve the secondary with Cole Bishop at strong safety on top of that? A lot. Significantly. So dude's a boss in coverage. He'd be a great insurance policy for whoever our CB2 is as well. Yes, I would be absolutely thrilled if that was the case. Dan, would you be okay to get Donovan out of Boston College and boost up that defensive line? Listen, man, I would be afraid to attempt to spell that as well. It's Ezeruku. All right. He's a dog, dude. He's really, really good. He's going to be the best edge rusher next to Abdul Carter. And that's coming out of the draft. He will be the next best edge rusher next to Abdul Carter. Second best. Trey White's presser made me shed a tear. Oh, doesn't it always? Hey, Dan, and would you chop off your left pinky finger for a Super Bowl? Yeah, who needs a pinky? Who needs a pinky? No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. And so I'd consider it for sure. But question. If there isn't a stud at 30, and so I'd love them to trade with the Bears, 30, 56, and 177 for 39 and 41. 30, 56 for 39 and 41. Yeah, dude, listen, like I said, I would absolutely love to trade down because I think that would be the best bang for your buck. So we have an Emin Warrior, Golden are my dream round 1 picks as of right now. Oh, man. We have Mahar has come in saying, I think we should try for Will Johnson. He'd be a blue chip player, my friend. Edgar has come in. And do you think Jalen Walker would fall, or do you think he is going top 10? I think late teens he's going, right? Like, he's been a weird prospect for sure. We have Dexy Gaming. Dan, so Lenora Sellers, a quarterback out of South Carolina, is going to be a QB1 in the 2026 draft class. He's like if Lamar and Josh had a child. I'm aware of him, my friend. It's my friend Clay, who runs a Carolina Panthers channel called the Robstar Report. He's a big Gamecocks fan. He tells me that all the damn time. We have Casanova's coming with a question. Dan, can you see the Bills trading up to the 20th pick and get Grant from Michigan or Amos from Ole Miss? I don't think that we would need to trade up that high to get to those players, right? I think Grant is going to be like a high 20s kind of guy or like a low 20s kind of guy. Like 21, maybe 24 is likely for Grant. And then Amos for sure. Like he's definitely not going to go as high as 20 for sure. He would probably be like a 30. In fact, I'd probably almost say that I could guarantee you that he would be there at 30 if the Buffalo Bills decided to stay put. Grant is more up for debate. We have DW is coming with a question. And do you worry about Will Johnson's lack of speed? Not necessarily, because we run zone, right? Like, say, for example, like we were like a man coverage type defense, then yeah, for sure. So I'd definitely be concerned there. But no, we run a zone defense, so speed isn't as much of a necessity to me. And he's super physical. He's lengthy, and he wins with that, which is solid. Hot take, I think Cam Ward will be a draft bust in the next 40 years. Ooh, that's tough. We have David Eastwood has come in saying, I am excited for the draft. Whoever Beane takes, I will be a huge fan. Damn. We have Derek coming in asking for a mock draft. I'm going to pass on the mock draft today, Derek. Maybe I'll do it a little bit later today. Who knows? Or maybe I'll do a mock draft tomorrow leading up to the draft. A lot of really fun stuff. Guys, that's going to have to do it for another edition of the Don Mafia Report. I appreciate everybody tuning in, man. We had over 200 people on YouTube watching, 170 on X. Smash that like button for me. It is the easiest way to show love on this channel. Subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on bell notifications because I really don't want you all to miss my live play-by-play draft night reaction tomorrow and also on Friday night for day 2. So thank you so much for everything that you guys have allowed me to do with this career. I might see you a little bit later this afternoon. And also make sure you follow me on all other social media platforms because I post like 5 to 6 videos a day on those. At Real Dan Mitchell everywhere. Thank you so much, guys. Love y'all. And I will see you a bit later for Fourth and Forever. Peace.